I mean,
everybody should hear about Derek.
Okay, here's where we start right now. Fuck you, Brett.
Get him out of your system. Come on.
it won't.
No, I want to save it for later.
No, they're
Get fucked, Brad.
like bones. They're always there.
Get fucked, Brad just doesn't hit the same. But on that note, in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, there is only war, and today there is only Warhammer. Welcome to the Tainted Hive, the first season of our Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Maledictum podcast. I'm your GM, Brad, guiding our group. Joining me today are, as always, Justin, Eric, Mike, and Alex. Gentlemen,
hey.
Happy Warhammer Day.
Yes.
Yes. I want to take a quick moment before we get going to give a little shout out. Because as we have embarked on this endeavor, we got a few folks over on our Patreon already who I think deserve a little kudos for being the first of the first to join us. And so, want to give a little thank you to a couple folks. If you guys will indulge me for half a second. We want to say thank you to the following individuals who already have joined our Patreon. Thank you to Kai the Archivist, Lightning Deathbringer, Michael Perry, and Sigmarius Ardosia. Thank you guys very much for being part of the Tainted Hive.
Those are 4 interesting aliases you came up with, Brad.
I know. I know. The 4 of you have hidden away from me the fact that you all already joined the Patreon. Also, we need to do a really quick shout out. We should have done this episodes ago, and we didn't. But I want to give a huge thanks to the folks who beta listened to our episode 1 to make sure that what we heard sounded just as good to other folks who gave us a little bit of really good feedback on a couple items that really didn't resonate well in terms of volumetric and making sure that people weren't distracted. Gave us some really good feedback.
And
so
will continue to do so, I hope.
I hope so. With that, thank you very much to Grand Theft Autumn, Clockwork, and our very own Hubert Lotz.
Dude, Grand Theft Autumn is a sick name.
Yeah, she's pretty great.
That's dope.
She's pretty
Grand
great.
Theft Autumn just sent me a friend request and I was touched. I'm going to accept it. 100%.
All right, with that, let's get into the 7th episode of The Tainted Hive. So, gentlemen, as we left off last session, you had, after speaking to Vidame Galar, you had made your way down to sublevel 7 of the Hive, deciding to work from the bottom up. And the Hive level, sublevel 7, was extremely dim. You wound your way through different alleys and side roads to find the Thaler Hostelry, a hab unit that had seen better days. It was rusted, dilapidated. Parts of it were extended and kind of built upon in non-formatted ways where walls existed where they shouldn't have been and there were doors. It was very obvious that this unit has kind of organically grown to fit the needs of the people. As you entered the hostelry, you met with a gentleman named Netabeus, who helped you kind of, sort of, depending on your definition of help.
He's not a gentleman.
He's not a gentleman. After attempting to kind of fleece you for a little bit of extra coin, standard affair for lower hives, he shared with you that he could get you a room, and after a brief exchange of 40 solars, 20 for the room, 20 for his silence, he got you a room within the hostelry, and you waited for Janelle, your point of contact for the hostelry, the person that you knew that you needed to speak to in terms of, trying to access the lower secret safe house that was there waiting for you from Halakarn. As Janelle arrived, who Netabeus had mentioned was the actual manager, he was just the assistant. Roderick, you kind of exchanged the code words with her. She then eventually led your group to the space. It has a second-story entrance, but there's a wall with a space for the signet key to be added, the signet ring to be added to open the doors and allow you access. As this was happening, Mordecai and Quinton had branched off from the group on their own. Mordecai going to watch a side hallway where you had thought you potentially might be able to get eyes on Rigel, having seen someone in red going into a room and knowing that he frequented this space. And Quinton, you just wandered and looked for anything suspicious. You were past completely unnoticed, as is your way, by members of the Imperial Navy, members of workforces, potentially some Adeptus Arbites, aka the Macarian Vigilites, and also some gangers. Roderick and Dmitry, as this was happening, you spoke with Janelle, and after a bit of positive coercion, you found that she had concerns that Netabeus may have been directly associated with the Valathi knives. And as that conversation was coming to an end, Mordecai saw someone in red leave his room and head down the stairs towards the main entrance. And Mordecai, you went to that room to swipe a key card to gain entry, using your talent of always being prepared to find your way into a de-encrypting key to allow you access. And as all of this is happening, Quinton, you walk upon the main entrance, the main office, and you see Netabeus chatting with a gentleman in red. So we left off with a lot of pieces in motion. Mordecai about to break into the room, Quinton seeing the conversation. As we start today, we'll start with Quinton. So Quinton, as we left off, the very last thing I shared with you was that you saw Netabeus and a gentleman in red, a red, ragged, kind of nobility cloak coat, conversing.
Just to make sure it's not the same guy I saw in the hallway.
It is the same guy you saw in the hallway.
Okay, it is the same guy. Okay.
It's the same guy that you saw with Mordecai where he posted up to watch the room. You came from a different angle, and having done your circuit, you are now seeing that same gentleman speaking with Netabeus.
Okay, because last time it sounded like he was coming in versus potentially like leaving. Or
the way you came through the hostelry, I believe what I had said was you couldn't tell if he was coming in or leaving. You just saw him speaking to Netabeus. Like you arrive on the conversation happening, not able to discern where he came from, in or out. Okay.
Well, then that slightly changed what I was going to do. Instead of just sounding the alert, I'm just going to ping people with our telepack link saying, the guy in red is by the front door talking to Netabeus, and then I'm just going to kind of linger in the area trying to overhear what they're talking about.
Sure. So you watch as you're going to watch them. You're going to linger near them. You watch as this conversation occurs. How close are you willing to get? I know that you have your hide, your psychic static. But how close would you like to get from where you're currently standing? If we're talking in zones, you're about 3 zones away. So
I would be walking basically within like 5 feet of them.
Okay, so you're up to
I'm
willing
going to
get
stand outside of arm's reach, but basically that close.
Okay, that is very good for me to know. So let me quickly see if either of them notice you. They need to oppose. One of these days I'm going to remember this without asking. Psychic static, they oppose with their awareness any, correct?
I believe so. Let me just double check.
I remember for sure that is the way.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're going to roll for the red and for the other gentleman as well. Let's start with Netabeus. And he has to beat a 10. Oh,
beat the
plus 10. Which he will never do.
I don't even think it's possible.
Well, he does have plus 40 on the test.
Doesn't matter when he immediately rolls a -2. Okay, and now let's roll for the man in red. He has plus 40 on the test. And that is still just barely not good enough. Shit. Okay.
Eric, you're never allowed to sleep or go unconscious. You just have to keep this.
So
I don't sleep.
So, Eric, the gentleman you see is currently covered in a red cloak with frayed gold trim. The gold has turned from, you suspect it was once a vibrant gold color, like a gold stitching. It is now that dingy, faded, almost turning like a pale yellow from exposure. The coat itself is pitted with acid scars. As he turns to speak, you see that his left eye is a bionic, augmentic eye, glowing bright red, the cables snaking along the side of his head to implant in the back of his skull. From his head itself, as he turned, you now see that his hair, clean shaven, but his head is rows, 3 of them, of spikes, totaling 15 spikes, 5 in each row, like actually implanted and screwed into his head. His arms covered with his cloak, but as he turns to speak, you get a glimpse of a red leather vest, a hanging chain that ends in like a crossed spiked ball, and his arms have a couple augmentic ports as well. And you see that inside of the coat there are dozens of knives. You hear, you said you're going to get within 5 feet.
Well, I was just using a rough round. Basically, I want to be, I'd say 5 to 10 is the range.
Okay.
Be just outside of like arm's distance. So basically, if they start moving, they don't accidentally like turn to bump into me type of thing.
Close enough to hear them without being close enough to be touched.
Yes.
Got it. So you move up through the zones of space, and you kind of make your way along the main path. Again, it's it looks like flagstones. It's rockcrete. And as you step up closer, one of the just short of the office, one of the hab units, the door is half ajar, and you can see someone sitting at a table eating. But you stop next to that wall, puts you about 8 feet away, right at the corner of the hab, so that if they come your way, you can roll around the corner and be safe and protected. And what you hear is Netabeus, and he's speaking to the gentleman. He goes, what was Netabeus' voice? I'm going to look at my notes for his voice. Doesn't matter. Netabeus is speaking to this man, and he just goes, well, they were asking about a few different things, but mostly just looking for a room. Why do you ask? And the man in red goes, well, I've got on good authority. They ran into one of my runners. Got a bit of a problem with that. Keep me in the loop. Let me know if they get snooping into anything else. Gotta head up to the Manufactorum. Make the rounds.
I'm immediately pinging Mordecai. That guy in red, that's... I forgot the guy's name in red. Whoever that guy is.
Ragu?
I'm pretty sure it's Ragu.
We don't actually know his name, I don't think. Right?
You don't know this gentleman's name. You do know that you are looking for Regel the Red, who is a member of the Knives.
Okay. I'm going to say it. I think this is Regel the Red, and he's going up to the Manufactorum.
Okay. Mordecai. Quinton, real quick before I jump to Mordecai, anything else you want to do? This conversation's coming to its natural end, and he's beginning to leave.
I'm going to linger around for just like 30 seconds to a minute after he leaves, just to make sure Netabeus doesn't like immediately go to notify someone else or do something else additional.
Sure.
I just kind of like keep an eye on him, and then if I see he's just going back to his normal routine, then I'll depart.
Okay, do me a favor. Give me an awareness sight test. It'll be easy. I'm sorry, not easy. Routine plus 20, please.
Plus 20 awareness. Okay. That's going to be plus 4.
Plus 4. Okay. So with a plus 4, you very quickly see as the gentleman in red walks from the Thaler Hostelry, as he passes by that flakboard sign that had the words just scrawled on it, kind of diagonally, not kind of helter-skelter, not very neat. 5 individuals in faded red vests and fatigues with high black boots step out from behind that sign, as well as a couple other spaces, and almost encircle him and walk away.
Yeah. I'm also going to relay that to the party, be like, he seems to be important enough that he just had an entourage appear out of nowhere to walk into the Manufactorum.
How big an entourage?
5, I think it was. I lost count.
Did they appear to be blending in with the surroundings before they joined him, or were they obviously an entourage?
Brad, were they seeming like they were blending in, or were they just kind of like very obviously standing there waiting?
They were 100% like just waiting outside of the hospital for him to walk out.
Trying to figure out how sneaky these guys are.
He literally steps out, and as the gentleman in red steps out of the hostelry and leaves the hab unit, these guys stepped out from spaces where they were lounging or just killing time, trying to blend in. Like, they weren't so obvious that you noticed them before they did it, but they were obvious enough that the minute he stepped out of the hostelry, they stopped what they were doing and took off with him.
Yeah. And I'm like reiterating to the party, like, I'm pretty sure this guy is Ragu.
All right, so ask him if he tastes delicious.
Ragu doesn't taste delicious.
What wine do you pair well with?
Do you prefer rotini or penne? All right. Mordecai,
Yes.
as we closed out last session, you pulled the key card and began to swipe it through the door to break the codes, to break the encryption, to gain entrance.
I had the amazing presence of mind to have that on my person for this adventure.
Yeah. And you removed that cost before this adventure, or today, correct? We'll get there. We'll get there. Before next session, you will deduct the cost of that from your money per the talent.
Yeah.
Speaking of pre-session pieces, did everyone, aka Mordecai, refresh your fate because that was regenerated from after session 6? Okay, perfect. And Dmitry, we'll get to you in a minute.
Yes.
So Mordecai, you swipe the key card. Now the key card allows you to basically take a lockpick. I'm going to say it allows you to take a lockpicking test, and it's just going to break the encryption code if it's easy enough. This is a HAB unit. It's easy enough. So you swipe the card. The lock code whirs and then flashes green, and the door unlocks.
Quinton, you let me know if he comes back towards the door. I'm going in the room. I'm going to say that in the psychic link. And I'm going to attempt to move silently into the room.
Sure.
And I'm going to draw one of my knives behind me and then keep it ready.
Okay.
With him having said that, Quinton's actually going to, in his wandering, start heading back towards that hallway.
You got it. So, Mordecai, give me a move silently. Because you are stepping into a quiet space, and because you just opened a door that was previously closed.
Yep.
It's going to be difficult -10.
Okay. Move silent. +2.
+2. So the door, as you push it, the door begins to scrape just slightly on the floor, and you stop, grab the handle, and just give just enough pressure to lift it open. You step in, the room is entirely empty. There is Spartan-like furnishings. A table in the center with a single chair, and a plate with some half-congealed, just cheap food. The glass appears to be a stein with just the dregs of a beer. The bed is mussed and unmade. The blanket's kind of balled up. There's a weird odor in the air, both of stale body sweat, which you recognize, but there's a second odor that you're not 100% sure. Go ahead and give me a logic evaluation check, please.
Before I check this room too heavily, I want to check if there's a secondary exit, and I want to know what floor I'm on.
You are on the second floor still.
Okay.
And you do not, just from a cursory glance before you take this evaluation test, you do not see a secondary exit yet.
Okay. $32. What am I testing?
Logic evaluation, if you have it. You'll have logic either way, but just in case you have advances.
+0.
+0. Okay. The sickly sweet smell that kind of covers up the smell of body odor. You're not 100% sure, but it almost reminds you of lotus smoke, which is a different kind of drug. Think of it like peyote or like an opiate pipe kind of thing. It's really meant to just kind of relax and gets people very high.
Sick.
Yep. So now, in regards to the room, you have the table, the chair, the bed. That's about it. There's a couple small cabinets that seem to be slightly ajar. You were looking for a second exit. Cursory glance tells you nothing. Do you want to do a deeper check?
Yeah, I want to see if this guy has any luggage. Now that I know that he's not here. Also, I would have not shut the door behind me, but I would have put it almost back to being latched so somebody can't just look in and see me.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm going to see if he's got any luggage. I'm going to check the drawers. I'm going to turn this place, basically.
All right. Give me a hard -20 logic investigation check this time.
Yeah, I'm going to spend a fate on that and reroll.
All right, go for it.
There we go. +1.
+1. Okay, so with a hard investigation check, you pick through the house, the hab, in a way that won't leave massive traces that you're there. You do turn everything over. You check every drawer, you check every cabinet. You find nothing until you go to lift the mattress of the bed, and you see the faintest scratch in the floor. Pulling the bed frame aside, you find a hidden latch where you can open the floor itself, and inside a satchel on the floor, you find a half dozen las battery packs. So ammunition for las guns. They all have serial numbers attached to them. The serial numbers themselves don't trigger a memory in your brain yet. However, there's a constant recurring start to the serial number. So the serial numbers all start 6.938-.
Now, I'm not from a hive world, so no, my character wouldn't know. Okay.
I'm not even going to give you a roll because your character just would not know this.
Yeah. I do.
You
Anyway.
could probably figure it out, but
Right.
Also,
Well,
you're also linked to Hive.
That's-
You
that's-
could ask him.
That's what I'm doing. I found this. I found a bag full of ammunition. You guys think I should take it?
Anything special about it?
They have some numbers on them. I mean, maybe one of us could use it.
What are the numbers?
6.938475821. They all start with 6.938.
As conveniently the Battery Manufactorum's very number, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Seems like it might be significant.
I will put these in my bag. You two can quabble over it later.
Fair enough. Bring it to the safe house.
I guess you're not quabbling, but
We're always
No, they're mine.
quarreling.
I mean, I don't know about Roderick, but Dmitry could use las packs.
Oh, I don't use las packs, mate. I use lays packs.
Mordecai specifically called them Lay's packs.
He did, but you were using a telepathic link, and that autocorrects to the correct pronunciation. So
you actually just hear the telepathic link auto-corrected in your own dialect.
This is how it should be said. Dum dum.
Do they look like they've been tampered with at all? Because we are looking for drugs getting out. Maybe they're smuggling them out from within the last bags.
They just look like las packs to me. I will bring them to you. You can look at them. I'm going to try to... If I'm confident that there's nothing else I'm going to find in here, I'm going to try and straighten it back to... So it's not immediately noticeable upon somebody walking in.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to split.
It takes you about 10 minutes to put back what you did, but with how you rolled, you tore the place apart in a way to try to hide that you had been there. You do find that the las packs...
I'm a very considerate burglar.
You're very good at what you do. That's why you have the role you do. After about 5 more minutes, you realize there's nothing else there. You spend 10 minutes putting it back together. By that point, Quinton, you have basically been posted up looking down this hallway for the better part of 10 minutes at that point. As this is happening, Dmitry and Roderick, you had been talking with Janelle. She had shared that Metabaeus was probably tied to the knives. As she's telling you that, this is all happening simultaneously. As she was telling you that, Quinton was stumbling on the conversation. Mordecai was swiping the key card. As she finishes sharing her concerns, Mordecai has stepped into the room. Quinton has listened to the conversation and peeled away because the conversation kind of happened a little bit before. Simultaneously, but slightly before. And she is just looking at each of you and saying, if there is anything else you need, let me know. Otherwise, just keep an eye out and be safe.
And Janelle, just so we're clear, if Netabeus or anybody else asks, we were asking around about places to eat nearby. Maybe we know a mutual friend, yeah? Just to have our story straight.
She curls her nose and she goes, well, that's a absolutely horrid story. There's nowhere good to eat down here. Let's just say you were asking about the best place to grab a drink.
Sure. Sounds good.
That's an easy one. It's the Edifice. It's the only good bar in the lower hive.
To make it pretty more believable, where could I get a nice pack of smokes around here?
Well, and she pulls out a very small pack of smokes and she goes, I've got them for a premium. But if you don't want to pay my premiums, the Edifice has someone who sells smokes every day.
Define premium.
She gives you kind of a roguish look and goes, 15 solars. I don't really want to go walk and get my own smokes, if you catch my drift.
How much are those usually? Do we know?
Like 5 solars for a pack.
Dimitri's gonna look at you. Price is shit.
Fair enough. Bum one off you for 1 solar, though.
She pops one out and just hands it to you with a wink.
I'll give her a solar.
She doesn't take it.
Horse shit.
Like you go to hand her a solar and she doesn't take it.
Throw it at her as she walks away.
You take my solar.
Roderick, give me an intuition check.
No, Brad.
Do it anyway.
That's a 92.
That's not good.
Any specific kind of intuition? It doesn't matter. It's going to fail
Human
anyway.
or people's fine. Yeah, human or people's fine. But
Well, it's at a 55, so.
You're absolutely baffled why anyone in a hive, especially in a lower hive, would turn away a solar. You have no understanding of why she would do this at this point. It does not make sense to your brain.
Makes sense to my brain, though.
It might. So yeah, with that, she just kind of begins to walk away.
Fair enough. I'm going to walk up and plug the signet into the keyhole when she's turned a corner or something.
Sure. So as you plug the signet into the keyhole, there's a faint click. And the wall pushes in slightly. There's a faint seam now seen where there previously had just been like what looked like a wall. As she said, the door is very well hidden. The door swings in, dead quiet. Extremely well-oiled hinges. And it looks in on a landing, followed by a flight of steps that goes down 2 stories. Like it's a long flight of stairs in a narrow hallway. While you're at the entrance, you recognize that the entrance goes way below the hab itself. You make your way all the way down the steps, and at the end is another door. This one closed, but as you grab the latch and turn carefully, again, well-oiled, no noise, swings open.
Okay.
Inside,
Obviously closing the doors behind us as we go down, but...
Yeah. Inside, you see that the room is... It is a safe house. It is a single room, a few bunks, a small unit for toiletries, for relieving yourself. But the actual safe house itself, low ceiling, small walls, single table, small little counter space, and a couple beds. That's it. It's meant to just crash. The walls themselves are a dark plasteel, almost like a obsidian's not the right word. That's too black. Almost like a dark blue-black, like a midnight bluish color.
Okay.
Motifs of skulls are set sporadically, and as you look at the far left wall, as you step in the door, the wall to your left, there is a giant floor-to-ceiling emblazoned gold-painted inquisitorial eye, like the letter I.
Nice. I'm going to poke around, maybe lay down on one of the beds to see how soft it definitely probably is not. So
Quick poke around shows you that the beds, table, and such, as you step into the toiletry room, you see that there's almost like a single closet. And as you open the door to that unit, it swings open. You see that the door itself on the interior has a way to code a biometric scanner. There is 2 compartments to the cabinet. The first compartment is obviously a weapon locker. It's empty currently, but there's a weapon locker. The second compartment, however, is not empty. It is full of ties, gags, manacles, and other instruments of interrogation that you really don't want to mess with.
Fair enough.
Do I?
You said there's a toiletry room?
Or maybe you do. The toiletry room is where this is. So as you step into the toilet, there's a
That's
very
great.
narrow hallway with the wall, with those 2 set into the wall toilets straight
I'm
ahead.
gonna look at Dmitry around the corner and be like,
I'm going to be a minute. Might want to plug your nose.
Okay.
I'm gonna go take a dump, if that wasn't obvious.
All right.
Been holding it since, the dropship.
Holding it since your corpse paste.
Hell yeah. Corpse space went right through me.
Oh,
I'm glad we can address what corpse space does
roll
to the lower GI.
roll an endurance. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh no! Roll a range check.
Range. Okay. So as that happens, Quinton, Mordecai, are you going to make your way back to the? Well, actually, you were telepathically communicated as to where the safe house was, but would you make your way back to it?
We'd make it back to that area, I would assume, unless Mordecai wants to do something. Kind of start wandering back that way.
I'd head back to go take the mag packs.
Okay. As you reach the entrance to the safe house, you go to press on the wall. It's locked. Roderick shut the door behind him.
Hell yeah. it
Boy,
is.
buttholes.
Knock,
Listen.
knock, 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 knock.
Hey, don't talk about
Knock,
man's
knock.
butthole while it's open, yeah?
What are you doing in there? Maybe I don't want to know.
You can smell it when
I'll
you
go
come
up to
down.
the door.
So very quickly, you find the 4 of you are all seated around. Well, 3 of you are seated around this table, while Roderick is still having a day. And the last packs come out. Quinton, you were asking if they were forged or are tampered with.
Yep. I want to basically just look to see over if there's any way, like, maybe this is. My idea was that maybe that's how they're smuggling them out of the manufactorum, if that's where the drugs are being made.
Roll me a. Let's call it a tech check. Roll me a tech check.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna watch what he's doing as he's doing that.
-2.
And they look perfectly fine, Quinton. Absolutely nothing appears to be wrong with them. There's no sign that the tech has ever been tampered with.
I'm pulling out my knife and I'm just starting to, like, poke at it and prod at it.
Dmitry.
I grab his wrist as he's doing that. Why you address screws with knife? And I pull out my screwdriver.
So Dmitry,
And-
as he goes to do this, though, do me a favor. Roll me a. I'll say either. You can pick either lore or logic check. One of the 2.
All right. Oh boy. No, that is a -3.
A -3. Okay. Yeah, you see nothing wrong with what you're doing.
For either. Okay.
So you
I
pull
see
out,
nothing wrong with what I'm doing for.
going to open up and unscrew a last pack. You see nothing wrong with it.
Oh,
So
Okay.
you go to pull out, and you pulled out a multi-tool, you said?
I have to retcon that. No, I didn't. I don't have one of those.
Okay. What do you want to pull out to open one of these last packs? So the last pack itself is it's a plasteel casing. The top is actually welded on, and there are almost what appear to be like electronics panels or like soldering panels that would touch to the interior of the lasgun to let the energy pass through to be fired.
Sure. Let me look. Make sure I. Yeah. So as I'm lecturing Quinton about using the wrong tool for the job, I'm gonna grab my entrenching tool and I'm gonna wrap some of my poncho from my survival gear around the handle, and I'm gonna give that bitch a good old whack.
Okay. Roll me a melee check.
Okay.
I'll add him in the toilet right now.
And it explodes.
I'll say it when this blows up in our face.
Yep.
Well, maybe not. That's -1.
I will back away towards the door.
Okay, Mordecai, you back away towards the door. -1 to the melee check. That's fine. Hey, this was not to measure if you hit it. It was how well you hit it. You swing down with the E-tool, and where you would have clipped kind of central of the soldered piece to be able to peel it away, you miss and you chip off the side, hit the corner. The corner bends slightly, opens, and you watch as the steel has kind of broken open a bit and is beginning to slightly expand. Inside, you can see the corrosive acids that make up the actual battery as the las pack tips over slightly and they begin to dribble out of the las pack. And as they hit the table, they begin eating through the table.
Yeah, see? Correct tool.
Dmitry, maybe you should perform a Medicaid check on the mag pack.
It is deceased.
Seems like a normal pack.
Roderick, as you walk out of the toilet at this point, you see the pack tipped over, acid eating through the table.
Hell?
I look in. I'm assuming I see the trench tool wrapped up, and I'm like,
Dmitry, what are you doing?
This was theory. Smuggled drugs in las pack. We
Roderick,
disproved, no?
Well, you were off relieving yourself. He was out here doing hard science.
do I know anything about las packs? Like, do I know that he could have just taken it apart a different way?
I will say, go ahead and give me. You want to ask about your prior knowledge of las packs? Give me a lore check. And
is it a little easier because I am a wielder of 2 pistols on a regular basis?
No, because you don't have any history of taking apart las packs and trying to work with them. So we're going to call it a lore. I'm just going to call it a lore check. There's no real good specialty for this.
So then, so well. Nope, I don't know shit. 68 out of 26.
Yeah, you're not sure. Just you know that las packs don't like to be. You know the basics because you do wield a las gun. You know that las packs can be recharged, not in the safest way, by literally sticking the end that Dmitry has struck into a fire to charge the cells. You know that they are made up of very volatile chemicals, as proven by the fact that they're eating through the table. And you know that when you clip a fresh one into your gun goes boom. Or, I'm sorry, pew. Pew. That's about it.
How many did you bring back, Mordecai?
This is a bag full. You can count if you're curious.
I'd like to take one and see if it fits into my las gun.
It's a standard issue las pack, clips directly home. You get the nice resounding steel on steel as it slides home.
Okay.
Satisfaction.
I'm
Is there
gonna
garbage
pocket
or something
2
in
of
there?
them.
You're gonna pocket 2 of them?
But before I'm done doing that, I'm going to take my knife and I would like to work on filing off those serial numbers.
Okay. You take you can spend some time to do so. Quinton, yes, there's a trash located near the counter space.
I'm just gonna push the table over to that spot and try to dump the broken one into it.
Okay.
And as I'm filing them off, I'm going to turn back to the party. If you use these, I suggest you do the same. Never know when officer dies and you do not wish to be implicated.
Isn't filing the serial number off a felony?
This is fieldcraft.
It is technically a violation of the Lex Imperialis, which is imperial law, so yes.
I would assume if it's a felony here, it's probably frowned upon there.
Yeah.
Dmitry, it'll take you a half hour to file off the serial numbers fully, like fully gone from each pack. You can rapidly scratch them out to be unlegible in 10 minutes.
That's all I want.
Okay. So, Mordecai, you still have 3 las packs. Quinton, as you tip the table, the las pack tumbles over, and you realize that it has tipped break side down.
Is it in the garbage?
It's in the garbage. Break side down. Hold, please.
Getting some Breaking Bad vibes from this.
A faint little whiff of like smoke of like burning plastic is now coming out of the trash can. Not that the can itself is plastic, but the liner was.
Does it have a lid?
It does have a lid, yeah.
I'm putting a lid on it and taking it and taking the garbage outside the door and just closing it back, leaving it in the hallway.
Okay. Garbage has been moved into the hallway with a broken open leaking las packet.
This is someone else's problem now.
Just took the hotel approach. Hey, housekeeping, you'll get this.
Yep, exactly.
You can't at
Not
least
my problem.
put it in front of the door next to us.
No joke.
No, I did. I put it down the hallway a little bit.
There you go.
Oh,
There
you
you
went
go.
down the
in front of the
hallway a
hall.
little bit. Okay.
Yeah, it was the
yeah.
neighbors messing around, wasn't us.
Like,
You
of
are-
course, I'm not going to put it right mysterious thing.
You are very
Right next to, like,
confident
the news
that you're very, very confident that despite passing 3 people in the hallway, none of them seem to notice what you were doing.
Not gonna lie, I think flushing it down the toilet's a missed opportunity. For not doing that, rather.
What? All right. So you have now 5 las packs, 2 with no serial numbers, 3 more in a satchel pack. What would you like to do, gentlemen? It is early afternoon on your first day on Rokarth. You have a place to sleep. You know where to find some food. Day is yours.
I will distribute these. I guess we each take one. If you guys have a las.
I do have a las pistol.
Okay. I also do.
So everybody
Roderick,
has.
would you like this last one?
Sure. Never hurts to have a little ammunition.
So everyone go ahead and add 1 additional las pack to your ammunition count. Except Dmitry, you add 2. And Dmitry, do me a favor, make a note, just so you have record, that yours are. Call them illegal las packs just because you scratched off the serial numbers.
Nah, I'm gonna call them burner last
Burner packs is a great, yeah.
Send those through first.
Okay. Gentlemen, what's next?
Do we want to work our way back up and go to the Battery Manufactorum? That's 1 level up.
Yeah, I mean, what else do we got?
Should we eat something that's not dead people before we go, or?
The safe house does have, inside one of the cabinets, there are some very minor nutritional supplements. Dmitry, you would immediately recognize these, no roll needed, as they're Astra Militarum ration bars. You also know that those are only a step or 2 above corpse starch or corpse paste in terms of anything, but they're energy, they're food.
I'm going to eat one of these and hopefully find some recaf.
There is recaf, yeah. There's access to the ability to make recaf in the space as well.
I will do so.
Very Spartan, but enough to be functional. You have a little bit, you have access to, there's a tap. If you turn the tap, you would see that the water appears clean. Knowing it's an Inquisition safe house, pretty safe to assume there's probably some form of filtration or purification. There's recaf, some ration bars. You can spend, it'll take you about 20 minutes to make everybody a cup of recaf and a ration bar. Super easy.
So while he's making that, Mordecai, come, my second aunt, she greatest cook on my planet. Watch this. I'm gonna take my, I guess, mess kit out of my survival gear and one of those butterscotch candies and my candle, and I'm going to melt the butterscotch candy in I don't know what I got. I'm sure we got spoons, whatever.
Yeah, you've got a spoon. It's a mess kit, so you'd have a spoon. You'd have like just a little, kind of almost like a little dish as well.
Yeah, so I'm gonna melt one of those butterscotch candies in that dish, and then I'm gonna pour it over just he and mine's bars.
Okay.
This is delicacy. Give him one.
I just envision it pouring like the Twix commercials where it's like the rolling caramel, but it's a melted Werther's from Terra.
Warders?
It's like burnt syrup. I'm not envisioning that at all.
No, I imagine burning it on a spoon is probably making it a bit.
Well, I was going through the
But
inventory of the survival gear. I'm like, I guess I'd have one of those.
It's also the thought that counts. I appreciate it.
You go to take a bite of it, Mordecai, and it tastes like slightly, I'm not going to say burned, but like slightly cooked butterscotch sugar. Toasted. There you go. Slightly toasted butterscotch sugar wrapped around the equivalent of a rectangle of cardboard that tastes a little bit like sawdust.
Cheers, Dmitry. Thank you.
It tastes like Imperium Maledictum, does it not?
Like if you forget to take it off the cardboard. Just chew right through the packaging.
Oh.
After a cup of recaf and a bar each, sustaining your hunger and energy levels, even if it's not exactly the tastiest meal, you all head out from the safe house. Now, if I'm understanding correct, you are heading to the Manufactorum. Yes?
Yeah.
As far as I know. Unless...
Okay. You make your way back from the hostelry, and since you came from the lift, you remember how to backtrack. As you're go ahead.
Guys, before we leave, I do think it is worth considering. That man that we thought might be Big Ragu is here without any of his entourage. Maybe if we find out that it is him, we can ambush him in his room. Just gonna throw it out. For later consideration.
We might even be able to bring him back to the safe house and have some fun.
If we find out it is him, we can wait for him. I know where his room is. I have access. No entourage.
Okay. So, as you're having that conversation, are you guys making your way back? You know one way directly to the lift. Are you just going to make your way back along that same path?
Unless Matt Boy has an idea of getting back to the manufacturer would be quicker, a different route.
Brad?
But first I will light a candle, Brad.
First you'll light a candle. Good. Light a candle, Mordecai. Dmitry, give me a navigation check. Because you have the map, I'll say you can make it navigation surface, but you're going to make it at a routine plus 20 with your map.
Okay. Oh, all right. So that 28. You said plus 20, huh?
Yep.
So that's 3 success levels.
3 success levels, an impressive success. So you do recognize that the lift that you came down is probably going to be the quickest one to get you up to the 6th level. You also, however, in looking at the map, realize that there's a path off to your left, a little further down past the Hab unit. There's a different way up to the 6th sublevel that appears to be just like a winding ramp. Being from a hive, you would recognize that these were used for like cargo haulers and stuff to move without needing to wait on a lift. They're often also used by people on foot if they don't want to make their way to a lift to climb vertically. But it's a much slower pace than taking the lift, which will just go directly vertical as you have to walk the entire spiral up.
It's like touring the Louvre, but everything is shit.
Kind of. I mean, the way that these work is they're kind of built into like a wall or like a support that would go up, and it just ends up being, you know, like a path that goes up.
Corkscrew.
Yeah. Doesn't turn too many times because they tend to be pretty large, but yeah.
Considering dude was scoping for us already, reusing the same path all the time's probably dumb. But
Up
we
to you.
also haven't been in combat yet, so what do you guys want to do?
I'm itching to shoot somebody.
It's mid afternoon right now.
Or it's now at this point it's mid-afternoon. Yes.
Is there anywhere
That's it.
on the way to the battery that we could stop and maybe pick up some tools and equipment?
You might be able to find somewhere to purchase some tools and equipment depending on what you're looking for. In the lower hive, good equipment's probably going to be hard to come by, but you might be able to come across a few things. What are you looking for?
Right now, I'm thinking a stab light for these guys because they don't have a photovisor. So,
Yeah, you could easily
probably
find
like
a
a
place to buy
flashlight.
that. You could easily find a shop to buy that. Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm guessing that's going to be closer to the lift.
Potentially. It's not always that logically laid out, but you, with a +3 with your navigation, when you got off of the lift, there was a different path. So you guys kind of went off the lift and went straight ahead down an alley. To the left of there, you had seen, and on the map, you can see signs of some kind of a shopping district. So you could kind of divert slightly rather than going the exact same path. You could swing a bit right, take a couple major avenues, end up right along that stretch by the lift to do the shopping you need to do, and then have the lift vertical. Or you could make your way to the corkscrew that you know of so far.
I mean, honestly, I don't think we're going to get jumped this quick in. All right, I'm going to make a note of that alternate route.
Okay.
That I discovered, and yeah, we'll file that away for later.
Okay. And I mean, especially because you haven't been there, you don't know the status of it or the shape of it. You just know that the map makes it look like it exists.
Sure.
And I'm going to purchase
So you take the group. 3
stab lights once we get to wherever we can
Sure.
buy one for each of these guys. And are they standard price?
As you
They're
swing
30
through
each?
that district, yeah, they'd be 30 each.
Okay.
As you swing through that shopping space next to the lift, very easy to find. You find a couple vendors who have them. It's a common purchase down in the lower hive. You see a couple guys who probably look like they try to haggle the heck out of you, but you actually pull up to a shop stall where slightly younger child, probably mid-teens, and the 4 of you rolling up like you do just doesn't even ask, just charges you 30, charges you standard.
Perfect.
Okay. Y'all make your way to the lift. After a short wait, the gates clank shut, the warning lights whir, and you rise. As you pass through that upper level haze down into the 7th floor, hitting the substructure and moving up into the 6th level, comes to a stop. The gates roll back. You are on a level filled with manufactorums. And as the gates roll back and you step off, to your left and to your right are broad thoroughfares, wide enough for a Lehman Russ tank to drive. And for those of you who may not understand the reference, that is a absolutely massive tank. I mean, it's as wide across as 4 people. These are not small little tanks. These are absolutely huge behemoths. The thoroughfare is wide enough for 2 of those to go side by side. As you look to your left, at the end of your sight, like this thing goes straight for as far as you can see, lost to the haze. And as you look off to your left down that way, you see as 2 trucks are actually passing each other with crates on the backs of them. From this distance, it's hard to tell, but they look very similar to some of the crates you saw up at the mud gate. To your right, you see row upon row of manufactorum. Straight ahead is another thoroughfare, narrower, not as wide as the main one that you're on, wide enough for 1 of these large trucks or like a Lehman Russ battle tank. Dmitry, with your +3, you know that the way you need to go from the lift is to the right. You need to go about 1 kilometer to the right, hang a left down another large arterial road, and the battery manufactorum you're looking for is on the right.
Okay.
You guide the party that way. As you make your way there, you again, it's very similar to when you were near the House of Toil, when you were near the Cathedrum of Obligatory Modesty. You pass by rows of people shuffling to and from. With it being mid-afternoon, it's not quite a standard shift change, but you're picking up that certain manufactorums seem to change shifts at different times so that this thoroughfare doesn't become clogged by millions of people trying to leave or enter all at once. So it's almost like rolling shift changes, as every 15 minutes as you're walking this kilometer and hanging that left, you see as a couple manufactorums have, 100 people here, 100 people there, in and out. Very soon, takes you, a kilometer probably takes you 18 minutes, 20 minutes to walk through there with all the people. You find yourself standing outside of this pattern-built plasteel manufactorum. Like everything else in the Imperium, there is very little creativity here. It is a mass-produced machine of creation. The manufactorum itself, as you pull up to it, it appears to be the size of a small town. So as you've been taking this walk, you're not passing hundreds of manufactorums. You know that there are thousands, but you're only passing maybe a dozen as you walk this kilometer. Some to your left, some to your right, some straight ahead. You turn down this arterial way, and as you make your way down another half kilometer down the turn, you come to the end of one manufactorum, and you find yourself standing outside of Battery Manufactorum 6.938. In bold, white, tight print letters above the massive bay doors. And we're talking these doors are, again, as wide as 2 trucks and tall enough for, 3 trucks or 4 trucks stacked on top of each other to go in and out. So they're, I'm going to put it in feet because that's just easier for my brain. They're about 35 to 40 feet wide, and the doors are another 60 feet tall. Okay? Yeah, massive bay doors. Those are the main doors. The personnel entrance, however, is a standard double door, 12 feet wide, 8 feet tall, 9 feet tall. And you see that on either side of the door, there are a couple of guards. These are not Makarian Vigilites. These are Manufactorum guards. They're just watching as people come in and out. The Manufactorum itself, from the exterior, is a titanic gray box with exhaust piping stretching all over the exterior. Now, these things are not touching side by side. When one ends, there is a 20-meter gap between it and the next one. Enough space for trucks to go by and stuff like that, but also enough space for the massive exhaust vents and exhaust piping to come out of the Manufactorum and rise to allow all the exhaust to plume up into the sky. The noise, Mordecai, is borderline unbearable. This is the loudest.
Place has been unbearable.
This level specifically, the Mudgate was loud, but it was a loud of people. It was a loud of commerce. It was a loud of jet wash. This is a loud of metallic, repeated hammering sounds. It's the sound of pure, unfettered industry. You're not going to hear a person call out your name on this level. All you will hear is the sounds of metal stamping metal.
Sounds like they will not hear the screams of my victims either.
Potentially true.
Hell yeah.
Mordecai goes dark. Splinter Cell.
Splinter Cell. What I would like each of you to do, please, is I would like for each of you...
I refuse immediately.
You know what? The fact that I have to look at it, you're probably going to want to refuse, but you're going to do it anyway. What I would like for each of you to please do at this moment, as you reach the exterior of Battery Manufactorum 6.938, is I would like for each of you to please make a challenging +0 fortitude, which is an endurance check. Fortitude.
How is my fortitude?
Oh, my fortitude's actually pretty good.
I'm
you know
rolling
what?
like
Good.
absolute shit.
I'm also
Yeah.
laughing because I've said endurance twice now because of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I'm pretty sure the character sheets have toughness, yeah?
Yeah, toughness.
Toughness.
Well,
Toughness.
Fortitude
Characteristic.
is toughness.
Fortitude's a
Yeah.
skill.
Fortitude
Yeah.
is toughness. Fortitude in the GM book says endurance, and I said endurance thinking Warhammer Fantasy. So Fortitude toughness check, please.
Okay.
Challenging +0.
+0.
+0, okay.
Does this have
It's actually
anything?
my highest skill.
So, -1 for me.
-1, okay.
Does this have anything to do with gases?
Absolutely does. You're going to be...
Okay.
Oh, you have a rebreather, don't you?
I have a filtration plugs. Yeah,
Filtration plugs. Okay, what do those
those give me
do?
a +2 SL on fortitude tests made to withstand the effects of harmful gases such as zones or hazard
Beautiful.
traits.
That's
Still
exactly
gonna
what
probably
you're looking-
fail, but we'll find out.
Well, do what you can.
Don't forget to only breathe through your nose, pal.
Mine is a -5.
Mine was a -5 and is now a
Jesus.
-3.
Okay, everyone but Mordecai. You have suffered from the noxious exposure of the fumes and the petrochemical waste of this floor, of this industry. You will now cough and splutter consistently. You all, minus Mordecai, have disadvantage on all stealth tests, as well as all awareness, hearing, and smell tests. This will fade once you are able to get out of this space for a set period of time.
It's a really good thing Mordecai doesn't have disadvantage on stealth. That's kind of my thing.
I'm happy my stealth doesn't rely on that.
Yeah, yeah. The fact
Yeah.
that your coughing won't matter as long as you don't directly cough into someone's face is probably a good thing.
Say those detriments again, please.
So you have disadvantage on stealth, and then on awareness, hearing, and smell.
You also have dysentery. Sorry.
This is not the Oregon Trail.
Brad, what if I were to pop one of those Warder's originals? Would that soothe my throat enough to where I wouldn't have disadvantage?
It ward his disadvantage.
They are the cure-all.
They are from Terra.
I will say, as long as you are actively eating one and using it like a lozenge, yes.
Hell,
Noted. Really regret giving those away earlier.
How many you got left?
2.
I didn't even think about that as a lozenge. That's brilliant. All right. So as you go, you get ready to walk in the door, and the air, the grit, and the taste, and the flavor. This air reeks of petrochemical fumes. It reeks of industry. It smells... If the air could smell spicy, this air smells spicy. As you three, Dmitry, Quinton, Roderick, as you all go to take a breath, each of you just starts... and you start to feel that kind of aggravation of your esophagus, of your air... your throat and your lungs. What am I saying? So you feel that kind of irritation from the grit and the pollution. Mordecai,
yes.
surprisingly, despite you being used to much clearer air, you feel okay. You can feel the grit. You can kind of taste that acrid, acidic taste, but it's not bothering you yet.
This is because these guys lack fortitude.
Or it's because you suck horse farts for a whole life.
You know,
You're used to this.
there would be
Oh, I broke Brad.
I
And
was
Mordecai
trying not
at the
to
same
spit.
time.
I think Alex saw me. You said that right as I took a sip, and I about coughed my drink out.
every thought that I've had all day just emptied from my head for a moment.
Well, when you suck horse farts, it's probably not good for your brain cells.
There is an advantage to sucking horse farts.
Well, he's a hayseed from a, what is it, a feral or an agri-world? One of those?
I'm from a feral world.
Yeah. Tons of horses. It's totally plausible.
As the four of you step up to the doors, the coughs, Roderick, Dmitry, Quinton, your coughs kind of aggravating your throats. You swing the doors open. You step inside. Inside of this manufactorum, again, it's the size of a small town. It's absolutely massive. You see gantries above, overlooking and looking down in on the space where there are dozens, if not hundreds, of conveyor belts. And as you look out, you see hundreds upon thousands of workers at different stations, all of whom appear to be bonded serfs or appear to be just standard laborers. You see conveyor belts where the battery packs are moved down to the a slurry, what appears to be like an acid slurry pourer, where the acid goes into the battery pack, which then moves to another machine. And Mordecai, you recognize the sound you heard from outside is the clamping, the boom, boom of these clamping stations where the metal is pressed, the las pack pressed together, which then goes even further to individuals hand welding this battery pack. The place is a walking OSHA nightmare. Because in
Frankly, I'm surprised people aren't hand pouring this shit with all the acid burns you were describing earlier.
Oh, as you look at the slurry pouring station, that's exactly what they're doing. They are actually manually taking a vessel, filling it, and carefully pouring that into each of the battery packs. It's not an automated process.
Okay, I was envisioning conveyor belt.
Conveyor belt moves the pieces between each of these stations. The clamp so the clamp is almost just like a giant automotive style press where two pieces come together and bend the metal, which then goes off to be welded. But the people pouring these things in. Now, as you all look out, you see on the gantries all of these overseers. Each of them is wearing a rebreather mask, which has a grated grill at the front of the mouth for a laud hailer, which is like the equivalent of just like a megaphone.
They actually rebreathers, or are they just like gas masks?
They're rebreathers.
Oh shit!
Actual rebreathers. As you watch, you see as one of them barks out a command, and over the sound of the metallic clanking, you can't quite hear what it is, but you see as one person who was pouring the acid looks up, and as they do, it sloshes onto their hand, and you hear ah! And see as another worker steps in as that worker is escorted away. As you look at this massive effort of work, you'll have to decide what you think next time.
Right on.
I think I need a gas mask. That's what I think.
I think all of you need gas masks.
Yeah, I think Quinton's going to try to steal one at some point.
Give me one too, bro.
Yeah.
Take a few of these guys
Steal a
down the
bunch of
hallway. Know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
Wait, is this where the murder hobo starts? Is for the rebreathers?
We're murdering in the next episode.
The murder hobo never stopped, Brad. It was just on like a silent Splinter Cell run.
Oh, man. All right. Well, that brings episode 7 to a conclusion. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to check out all of our social medias and head over to deadsonsco.com to find our website, links to all of the greatest news, access to the GM interview that is now fairly old at this point, but if you haven't seen it, you can check it out as to why I love Warhammer so much. And if you like what you heard, please consider heading over to patreon.com/deadsonscompany and showing us a little love and support over there. Until then, until next time. Warhammer.
And remember, not subscribing sounds a lot like heresy.
That's going to be the new line out.